What's going on, guys? Chuck here. Today we're taking a look at another VHS throwback, if you will. Um, but this one's a little bit more special to me, and that's because we're talking about James Bond VHS tapes. Now, you know, if I've ever mentioned before, I am a big James Bond fan. But I wasn't always that way. I didn't become a big James Bond fan until, let's say, somewhere around 1990. Let me think here. Maybe two or three. I was right in that dead period of James Bond, between 1989's License to Kill and 1995's GoldenEye. You know, that big long stretch where there was no films. It seemed like the whole franchise and series was in limbo. It was in legal troubles. The whole Kevin McClory, Ian Fleming Thunderball thing. There was, I think, some other issues with MGM and United Artists and other stuff that, put the franchise on hold, as it were. So I came in at a time when it seemed like really James Bond was dead. And how I got into it was kind of really funny. I'd known of James Bond as a kid. I recall James Bond being a thing, but not knowing too much about it. I recall as a child seeing For Your Eyes Only and Octopussy. For Your Eyes Only mostly, I think, actually both of them on cable. But I distinctly remember Octopussy because it came out in 1983. And it came out around the same time that Return of the Jedi came out. And, this is 83, so I'm like 8, I think. And I am stoked for Return of the Jedi because, I want to know what the hell happened after Empire Strikes Back. I've been waiting 3 years. And my mom's boyfriend at the time, he was teasing me, saying we weren't going to go see Return of the Jedi. We're going to see He wants to go see Octopussy. Of course, he's making funny. He's trying to be funny with the title. That's going totally over my head at 8 years old. Thank goodness, huh? But I remember being upset and going into my bed and crying because I thought we were going to miss Return of the Jedi because he wanted to see Octopussy. Nonetheless, we went and saw Return of the Jedi. But that's all my memories of James Bond up until sometime in the mid-90s. And how it happened was I was listening to our local morning radio show, which is the Bob and Tom Show, which is it's syndicated throughout the country, but it's actually local here in Indianapolis here. And for whatever reason, we're doing a James Bond skit. Something came up about James Bond. They were doing a skit, and I found it entertaining. And for some reason, that little bitty, this hokey bit, I can't remember the bit honestly, what it was about or why they were laughing and making fun of it. But it sparked an interest in me to maybe I should check out James Bond movies. That was it. It was really weird. So I went to the video store and started renting James Bond titles. I tried to, figure out which one was the first one. Of course, it was Dr. No. And I rented it and started watching. And I rented them all the way up to Man with the Golden Gun. By that point, I'm hooked. And I just said, heck with it. I started buying the movies myself. And at the time, James Bond movies were all over VHS. There's like a lot of different iterations of it. I know there was a couple different, big boxes of the collector sets they had at the time that I was renting. But that was it. And like I said, at this point in time, James Bond is in limbo, as it were. But I got so into Bond, I got the James Bond Encyclopedia, The Incredible World of 007, two very good books, reference books that helped me get caught up with all things James Bond, along with watching the movies. But I had the itch, and I wanted to get these films in my VHS collection, which was, fairly. It was getting there. It was in the early stages of what all this behind me is now. Was very. It's bare roots, as a couple of small skinny shelves of VHS tapes, and I went and started picking up these tapes, and I would go to Suncoast. We had two Suncoast videos, in our two different malls at two different Suncoasts, I believe, if memory serves. And I would go to either or, trying to pick them up, and I eventually got them all. And this first iteration, I have them all in this this big plastic case here. I've been sitting here for a while. I've not looked at them for a couple of years. But these were my first James Bond tapes. Now, I've said before that James Bond is one of those series where I will constantly upgrade, and I have, and I did, but I only did 2 different versions of VHS before I did the DVD, and then I did 2 versions of DVD, and now I have a Blu-ray. But yeah, and this was a very cool set. And I'm gonna break this down with you. So sit back, because this could take a while. So I went to Suncoast, and it was cool because they gave me a little card that you get for when you bought a series. You know, it's like a punch card. You know, your every 10th one is free or something like that, or your 10th one you get one free one. So that worked out for me, I think, once at the time, because again, at the time I got these, we were only up to License to Kill, and that was it. So the sets were, and these are really nice. These are, first of all, so here's Dr. No. It's great, you know, VHS. I love this set, but I found there was actually 2 different versions of this particular set that I was not aware of until a couple tapes later. So here's Dr. No. I always love that poster art. There's the back. MGM. And he's still rewound. Great condition. Haven't been washed in years. But so nice. And you got this from Russia with Love. And here's what I didn't, you know, something I didn't see before. You know, there's nothing up at the top here. This says Remaster Collector's Edition at the top. And again, I'm very new picking up things. These, by the way, are all pan and scan. That's the other thing. None of these are widescreens. Before widescreen was even a thing, before I even knew what widescreen was. These were pan and scan. But you see this from Russia with Love. This remastered collector's edition, and they have a nice little opening, which is cool, with some like little trivia on the movie, and then your tape. And you know, the other version is similar to this. It just doesn't have the little band at the top. It doesn't flip open. And once I discovered that, I tried to find everyone I could that had that. I wasn't always successful, but in some cases I was. I was able to get Goldfinger. And it's got the little flap also. Back. And these are still looking really good. I was a little worried. Like I said, they've been in this case for years. It's the first time I popped them out in a long time. And they still look really good. I don't see anything on them, which is nice. Thunderballs is the standard edition. Couldn't find the remaster one of that. I didn't think Thunderball, this one, and I know there's a lot of different versions of Thunderball. I think this one is the one or the opening credits is missing Sean Connery's name in the credits. It's really weird. You go through the whole thing and there's a scene in the title where a spear gun goes by. It's supposed to have Sean Connery's name, and it's missing. I don't know why that is, but later on in the Blu-ray, special features of Thunderball, it talks about some of the alternate versions. There's a couple ones that have different lines or edited or cut out or switched around different versions. So it's really interesting the editing history of Thunderball. Yeah, okay, let's see. Being difficult. There we go. You Only Live Twice. Did not get the remastered edition of that. Back. This one's still looking pretty good. Nice. And again, I love that this has this artwork. And unfortunately, going forward, this is probably the last time you're going to get this original artwork on the movies, because I think every reiteration, whether VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, they all have some new, quite frankly, generic artwork. And I really wish they would go back to these, because I've always loved the James Bond posters and their art. I have my James Bond corner over there with the posters. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, I did get this one in the remaster edition. The tape's just falling out of this one. There's the back. good, solid tape. Still in good shape. So glad. Okay. Oh, I think I know. Okay. They're sticky. Diamonds Are Forever. Again, another great poster and artwork. Not the remaster edition, but that's okay. This one still looks pretty good too. You always worry about the white mold that I've heard about. I've been lucky. I have no issues. Anything I have thus to this point, anyways. And these are just not going back in very easily. There we go. And then here, Live and Let Die. Again, another great poster art. And this is the remaster edition, so I get the little flap with some little, trivia. And this is the first Roger Moore film. This one's in great condition too. Man with the Golden Gun. Very similar poster art to Live and Let Die. And this is actually the last poster I have up there. I ran out of space, or I get the rest of them. But I'm out of poster space as it stands. I may put some on the stairway. I don't know. But here's the opening. That. And you're back. And this is probably my least favorite Roger Moore Bond. I mean, it's funny. I think it's a little too much. I mean, I like the idea of Christopher Lee as a villain. Obviously, he's always great, but Britt Eklund really, really annoys me. She's just so, I don't know, not very. Mary Goodnight is just kind of a little too much. So, The Spy Who Loved Me, again, another great poster. Probably the first really good Roger Moore Bond film. Open up. This is the remaster edition. Looking good. And this is the first widescreen Roger Moore Bond film. The first two were shot in the 1:8:5 aspect ratio. This is the first one that goes big and wide, which is good because this is a big movie. It deserves to be that way. Moonraker. And here's another one that I'm not a big fan of. I don't know. It's to me, I like the opening, the pre-title sequence is awesome. But the Hugo Drax is just kind of dull. The Jaws joke becomes overdone. I don't have a problem going to space, but it just seems like it's too much. It's obviously they're chasing Star Wars at this point, and I don't know. It just doesn't. It's always been kind of a drag, I think. Even the song is probably my least favorite song, the Shirley Bassey Moonraker. It's very slow. It's just goes on. It just really, really drags. And that's how I've always felt about Moonraker. So it's not really my... Actually, you know what? I take it back. I think this is probably my least favorite of the Roger Moore films. I know that's a lot of people love Moonraker. And I don't hate it. I mean, I love every James Bond film. But there's some you just, here and there. But yeah, Moonraker is probably the hardest one for me to get through. It just, like I said, to me, it's very slow. It just drags. Then we get For Your Eyes Only. Now, this is a really good one. It's like a back to basics Bond after Moonraker. Always like this one. Nice pre-title sequence, and I love the fact you got Sheena Easton doing the song. The disco sound is a little different from what you're used to for the orchestral, but it really feels 80s, but it's good. Nice little Cold War thriller. And you've got Topol, who was Hans Zarkov from Flash Gordon. You've got Julian Glover, who was what's the villain on Indiana Jones' Last Crusade? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I don't remember his name, but he's also General Veers in Empire Strikes Back, so that's pretty cool. And you got Octopussy, that great title. This is another remastered edition. So I was able to get most of these. There's only a few of these I wasn't able to get in the remastered set. I actually thought I got less than when I do. So that's nice. And then here's where it gets a little funny, because I have Sean Connery's Never Say Never Again. Obviously, this is not part of the official Bond library, if you will. This is the competing Bond, the Kevin McClory remake of Thunderball, which brought Sean Connery back. Also, it went head to head with Octopussy in '83 with Kim Basinger, and it's good to have Sean Connery back. But again, it's a retread of Thunderball, which isn't saying much because there's Spy Who Loved Me, You Only Live Twice are kind of retreads of Thunderball. It's the recurring theme. But this one's obviously for reasons that Kevin McClory could only do Thunderball if he was going to do remake of or any kind of Bond film. It had to be just based off Thunderball, and that's what it is. So there, I mean, it's not my favorite, but I like to have it for prosperity. And then we get in there. A View to a Kill. Oh, great poster. Roger Moore's final film, and this is probably what they say he probably stuck around one too many times or one too many films. Is 85, and at this point is like a seventh film. He is at this point the third James Bond, and the longest tenure with 7 films under his belt. I think actually he still is, if you don't count Never Say Never Again for Sean Connery. So you got Grace Jones and I said Christopher Walken. Just so much good. The Duran Duran song is great. The score is excellent, but it's very hard to get on board a very old, obviously aging Roger Moore with Tanya Roberts as a love interest. It's stretching a little too much. I think it probably should have bowed out after Octopussy, but hindsight being 20/20. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, finally we want 1987's The Living Daylights, the debut of Timothy Dalton, and it's like the 25th anniversary of James Bond at the time, and he was actually Kelly Broccoli wanted Timothy Dalton to replace Sean Connery as Bond before they did Live and Let Die. But at the time, Timothy Dalton felt he was too young to play Bond, and that's probably a good call. And I think he's a very underrated James Bond. I really like Timothy Dalton's approach. I wish he'd gotten more than his 2 films. It's funny because at the time, people were so used to the funny, upbeat, silly Roger Moore, kind of almost campiness of Roger Moore. So when Timothy Dalton came back in and you got a deadly, serious Bond, people weren't ready for it. And it's a shame because obviously when Daniel Craig became James Bond and his films are just, dare I say, almost humorless, almost too serious. And that people loved him. Again, Timothy Dalton was kind of ahead of his time, and it's too bad. But that's what you get Bond shaken up. But I think if he'd have gotten a few more films, he would have been accepted a little more. But I mean, his 2 films are very good, and I really like the nice departure from the 70s and 80s Bond. I mean, this is now 87. He did 87, 89 would be his 2 films. He closed out the 80s, and this is the last of the remastered edition VHSs for whatever reason, because they didn't do one for License to Kill, and this is the only VHS I had for License to Kill, and it's just standard, nothing. Yep, and this is CBS Fox. Maybe that's why. This is Fox Video. The rest of your MGM UA. I just caught that, so that could be. That's interesting, actually. So, License to Kill. And this is a very. I don't like this cover because I think. I mean, actually, the poster for License to Kill doesn't stand out. I think Living Daylights is probably the last one with any kind of artwork, especially like the 25th anniversary poster they did. And this is kind of a very simple. We're starting to get that Photoshop error of posters, which is too bad. Now, I also have a couple extra things in here. For instance, the Casino Royale, the live television version, starring Barry Nelson as Card Sense Jimmy Bond, the American agent. Barry Nelson, Peter Lorre, who played Le Chiffre in this one. So this is really cool. I found this is from Midwest Video. It's only an hour long, but it's yeah, Casino Royale. You can see it's hour. That tape ain't very long. This is really cool. Here's the back. I think I might have got this for like $5 or $6 when I got it. So that's like very seldom seen or people remember. It's all black and white. It said live, shot live. And the last one I have in this particular set is this James Bond at the movies, and it's basically just trailers. It's trailers all the way up to A Video Kill, and that's it. I don't know where I got this, but it's Brentwood Home Video. You know, it's probably like an hour. What does it say? 45 minutes, approximately 45 minutes. So this is probably another $5 thing. Here's the back, all your trailers. And featuring the Bond girls, of course, it's trailers. It's interesting because there's a lot of these. If you went to the stores like Coconuts, Sam Goody, Suncoast, any of these places that Media Play that would have these sell VHS, and you'd find some of these weird, cheap VHS things. I had a couple, like when Batman the movie came out. There were a lot of these VHS compilations that were made of they were unauthorized like histories of Batman, and which are actually really cool. Some of the stuff they had, I think it was some of on Superman and whatnot. But you can find these kind of just random tapes, and I still have a lot of them somewhere for real cheap, for like $5-6 here and there, which is really cool. So, okay. So after that, that was my big set. And then don't fall. Okay. I did eventually upgrade, but let me catch up to speed where I'm at. So, like I said, I got all these movies. I've seen all the James Bond films. I'm a big James Bond fan. But again, it's been years at this point since a new film has come out. I was probably never going to be a new film. And I remember I was probably my junior year of high school. Let's see. Probably about 93. Yeah, about my junior year. And somehow, I don't know why I had a paper. Entertainment section I was looking at in the homeroom. And I saw a quick blurb saying that Pierce Brosnan was just announced as the new James Bond. And, of course, he was supposed to be James Bond after Roger Moore, but he was doing Remington Steele. Which the show had just been canceled. They're going to hire him. I think when it was at the producers of Remington Steele, when they realized that Pierce got the Bond gig, they kind of were going to use that to revitalize, and they actually pulled up one more season or something like that. But whatever the case may be, it cost him the job as James Bond. Cubby Broccoli had basically famously said, that Remington Steele will not be James Bond. So it's too bad, in a way, because obviously it's something that Pierce really wanted. But it's really good. He said it himself. It's kind of like a blessing in disguise that he didn't get at the time, because obviously a couple years later, by 95, he's got a lot more years and a lot more experience by him, and he really felt he could do a better interpretation of Bond than he would have as a younger man in 1980, 86, 87, when he would have done The Living Daylights. And it's good to see, when GoldenEye is the first James Bond film I saw in the theater, and that's when the Bond bin was back, and I was like, I felt really cool, because where everybody's kind of getting back into James Bond's back, a big thing again, and I'm like, yeah, I was there. I was already there before it started. I feel really cool. I thought I was never going to see it again, and here it is back. It's awesome. So with that, the Bond films were re-released on VHS in special collector's sets. And these were really weird how they did this. And I've tried to wrap my mind around why they were like this, but we'll get in that in a second. So, and I'll never forget this because my first real job as an adult. I had a job as a kid, but whatever. But my first real job as an adult, living on my own. Excuse me, my very first paycheck, I picked up this James Bond box set. And these are all widescreen letter. Yeah, because he says it's back here. It's a letterbox version, as they were called back then. I was very, very excited. I got this at Media Play, which no longer exists. But it was a great, home video. They had books, games, everything. It was a great store. It's a good place to hang out. But yeah, I just picked up this first set. First set was like a Sean Connery Bond set. And you can see it included Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Diamonds Are Forever, and this Goldfinger Thunderball behind the scenes with. So these were nice. Yeah. So here's the box, very soft. You got little booklets in them. Look at this. And they came in some other sets. If you look at the back, here was the big set. They also came in as little split sets, which divided this set up into two different sets where you get this big one. I don't know why that was, but there's Bond. And then, yeah, you could get all these. Coming early 96. So this is all prepping for GoldenEye. Coming 96, what? Man with the Golden Gun, Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, Video Kill, Living Daylights, and License to Kill. What's funny is, and I don't remember which one it is, because I can't remember the box. I have to look at the box. I'll get to this in a minute. About how that second box is packaged. Let's see here. They have the mail-in offer to get a theatrical poster for GoldenEye. Okay, that's what it is. All right. Changing. So, here's Dr. No. And again, you're no longer doing the theatrical poster. You're doing these images. And this is, I think, the same image that the next DVD box set would come out. Collector sets. I did like 4 of those, I think. And they would have, be using this artwork. And they would have a quote. This one's obviously, my name is Bond, James Bond. Pretty obvious one there. You got an offer for the License to Kill 3, or License to Kill 3 sweeps. License to Kill sweepstakes. My God. Oh my God. And there's another coupon in here to save $3 in your next mission. Basically, they're really hyping getting all these. Another one looks great. Okay. Let me sort through these real quick. And back here. So, all right. And From Russia with Love. In the back, you've got, my orders are to kill you and deliver the lecter. How I do it is my business. Of course, that's from Grant. The back here, nice imagery, and again, you're gonna get all the same fly. Each one of these, they're really, really. This one's not coming out. Hold on a second. There we go. We're all good. It was kind of stuck in the box, but it's still there. It's still working. And again, you've got your flyers, your advertisements, advertisements, how do you want to say it? Goldfinger. And great line. Do you expect me to talk, Goldfinger? Of course, I don't think he said Goldfinger. He said, do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. See, these are better quotes than the Star Trek sets had. Here's the back. And these are great because, like I said, it's the first time I got to see these films in widescreen, which is really nice. And this is the time when I'm just figuring out what Letterbox is. I had just heard of it. The first time I saw Letterbox was in that Star Wars set I mentioned like a year or so ago. And then I started making a point to every VHS tape I could find. If it was Letterbox, I want the Letterbox version over the pan and scan. All that stuff falling out. Thunderball. Quote on here is, "It's your Spectre against mine." Okay, so we're a little lackluster on the quote on this one. There's the back. And, you know, this has one of my favorite Bond girls of all time, and it's Luciana Paluzzi. God, she's gorgeous. I absolutely love her as a Fiona Volpe. And you have You Only Live Twice. You know, the infamous Bond where Sean Connery pretends to be Japanese very convincingly. I should look forward personally to exterminating you, Mr. Bond. Yeah. Who's that? Frank Ernst Blofeld, played by Donald Pleasance in the first appearance of Blofeld. Of course, this is for those of you who don't know, are familiar with Mike Myers, Austin Powers, there's your inspiration for Dr. Evil right there. And then you skip over On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and you go straight to Diamonds Are Forever with this set. And that always bothered me, but I'll get back to that in a minute. Klaus Hergesheimer, G-section. Okay, so the quotes are really starting to diminish after the first couple. This is the first 70s Bond at the Vegas. Kind of a little over the top. So you got Charles Gray playing a very flamboyant, over the top Blofeld. Jimmy Dean as Willard White. Just very interesting. And then last in the set was this Behind the Scenes with Goldfinger and Thunderball. And basically these are just two documentaries on each film. And these are the same documentaries you'll get later on the Blu-ray versions of those films. Actually, they might be like 4 or 2 on each. Let's see. There's 2 half-hour segments for each film. So it's basically an hour behind the scenes on Thunderball and Goldfinger. Talking about the behind the scenes, the making of it, the merchandising of it, the pop culture of them both, and all that. They're really good, like I said, but both of these are or all 4 of these you can see on the Blu-rays. And I'm going to keep this out of the set. So, like I said, this was basically the Sean Connery set. And so the next one up was this other big one. So that's what I got my second paycheck. The very next paycheck I got 2 weeks later was this other box, which included mostly the Roger Moore films. But if you see here, like the other set is missing a film, this is missing a film. And I don't know why. But this is a nice set. You get the gold. This doesn't have a list of the films. The other one has a list of the films on the back. I'll show you. See here. And it does say Deluxe Edition Bond gift set with letterbox version. Has a list of films. And this is actually a softer, more flimsier box. This is a nicer, sturdy, harder box. And this says James Bond collector set. Now these are widescreen versions, but it doesn't say it on here. Getting really good. Here we go. And of course you've got new in the 90s. Action adventure is a 4-letter word. Bond. And it's more of the same propaganda. Come get these VHS tapes. And get your GoldenEye poster. So, starting off with Roger Moore in Live and Let Die. And this is a quote, "The cards have followed you for me," from Solitaire. And actually, I really like this one. And this says deluxe letterbox editions. So they are letterbox films, even though it doesn't say so on the box. Yeah, I really like Live and Let Die, the songs. The song is actually a favorite of my kids. Chris really loves this song. I think it's probably his favorite Bond song, and they've heard them all because I have them in my car. We play them consistently. And Kara actually is a big fan of she likes all the songs too, but because she'll always ask to play James Bond in the car when we're driving somewhere. But she's a big fan of everything from GoldenEye forward, the more modern stuff. Obviously, the most recent. She's a big Billie Eilish fan, so she loves No Time to Die, or this. Okay, it goes, and she has to play that over and over again. So here's again, Man with the Golden Gun, and A Duel Between Titans. My Golden Gun against your Walther PPK. That's a good one. That's a good quote. I like that one. Here's the back. I don't think. Yeah, I took all the flyers and stuck them in here where they didn't put them in the actual boxes. And again, these are the same. This is the same artwork you'll get on the VHS sets later on. Here's The Spy Who Loved Me. He just dropped in for a quick bite. Of course, talking about Jaws. Yep. Well, I don't know if they all had this, but it's a nice little purple on the MGM there. Okay. And then Moonraker. Look after Mr. Bond. See that some harm comes to him. That's a great line. That's a good villainous line. Probably one of the best lines of, Hugo Drax, honestly. Michael Lonsdale is very flat and emotionless. I guess it works for him, but it just, I don't know. It's just not very, you like a little more oomph in your Bond villain. For Your Eyes Only. Greek women always avenge their loved ones. So, there's probably a few more better ones than you could think of. Octopussy. Pay attention, 007. That's a lame one because Q says that in almost every movie. There could have been better lines for that one. And then A View to a Kill. Mayday. That's another bad line. Oh my goodness. Oh, let me back up. Octopussy, good line. Mr. Bond, you have a nasty habit of surviving. Well, Louis Jourdan, that is a great line. That's the one they should have put on the back of his box. And A View to a Kill, I can't think of it right now, but I'm sure, there's a great Christopher Walken line you could have put in here. And then the final part in this box is The Living Daylights. Timothy Dalton, and you've got You're a Professional, You Do Not Kill Without Reason. Okay, I probably would have went with the obvious. Whoever she was, I must have scared the living daylights out of her. That's the line you should have quoted on the back of this box. But yeah, that's it for this box. Now, as I said, get in there. At this point in time, they're hyping up GoldenEye, which means that License to Kill was out. So why wasn't it in this box? Why wasn't On Her Majesty's Secret Service in that box? It makes no damn sense. That really bugged the hell out of me. I actually had to order On Her Majesty's Secret Service separate because they didn't put them in the box. I get they were going. That first box is a Sean Connery box, and they had to split. But why exclude? Just because George Lazenby only had the one film, why exclude it from the set? It's still a James Bond film. It should be in the set. And it's one of my favorite James Bond films, too. We Have All the Time in the World. Great freaking line. That's what it is. And it really bugs. I bought this set and I had to buy this separate. And not only that, License to Kill was not included in the other box. Why? Why are they making... Why did they make these boxes... short tapes? Why not include the whole thing? It makes no sense to me. Effective immediately, your License to Kill is revoked. That works. I like that. But I don't know why they did that. So what I did with the set, because it bugged the hell out of me, I took this set and I took out that behind the scenes of Goldfinger and Thunderball, and I would just slide Honor Magic Secret Service in this set because that's where it needed to be. Darn it. Unfortunately, I couldn't do the same thing for this set because there was no extra space, so I just would have License to Kill out here by itself. And then, of course, I got GoldenEye. And this is the last James Bond VHS tape I ever bought. Because after that, Tomorrow Never Dies was my first James Bond DVD. And this is, wow, there's a lot of stuff in here too. An ad for Gillette. Wow. This is crazy. Yeah. Plus, you can also get the Ultimate James Bond Interactive Dossier on CD-ROM. Look at that. Pardon me, I gotta scratch my ear. For only $29.95. It's amazing I kept all this stuff. Actually, it's not really amazing. I'll have to tell you, I'm kind of a hoarder. I swear I'm not. So, yeah, this is the last James Bond VHS that I bought. Eventually, I would buy the 4 DVD sets, which were another thing. They've always packaged James Bond collections in a very, very weird way. Because they would never put them in any kind of sequence or the proper sequence. Because those DVD sets, there's like 4 of them. Both iterations, that, and then there was like the Ultimate Edition DVDs. But they would make a box with random films thrown together. Not like in sequence, but just whatever. So when I got them all, I'd basically reorganize them, put the right movies, because that bugged the heck out of me. And again, the Ultimate collection did the same thing. And that's the last that I had were the Ultimate Collection DVDs, which were the first set that actually had like regular, they're each individual DVD cases and they were regular size. The second set, the Ultimate ones, were the thin, like very thin black cases, but they're all individual, so that was cool. They made for smaller boxes, and I had those for a while until one day my View Kill disc just stopped. I had a glitch and it wouldn't fix, so it was like, okay, this is my excuse to get the Blu-ray, which I finally bought the Blu-ray box collection, which is nice. It has all the way up to Spectre, so that's cool. And they're kind of in separate cases. Actually, I'll pull it up real quick while I'm here. Okay, so here is my James Bond collection Blu-ray. There's all these films in it. And it's split up into 3 eras, if you will. But at least they're in order. You've got, this is like 1962 to 1977. And then you just got the movies, all individual discs, which is good. I mean, I'm glad and they're all basically the exact same as those Ultimate Edition DVDs. The menus are all the same, which are nice interactive menus. I really like the way they open up. This is 1979 to 2002. So this covers Moonraker to Die Another Day. Man, again, all individual sets, or individual films, excuse me. And then finally, you have 2006 to 2015, which includes Casino Royale to Spectre. And they are all uniform until you get to Spectre. Spectre is the same Blu-ray disc that was already out on its own. What I was hoping, because what they did with, actually back up, I believe only Casino Royale, even though they have the same, I think Casino Royale is the only one that had the menu updated to match the rest of the Ultimate Editions. I don't believe that Quantum of Solace or Skyfall had the menus updated. This is the actual disc, but the menus are the same menus. It's the same disc content as was on the original releases, at least as far as the menu goes. Where like all the other ones had the great, walking up, gun barrel kind of silhouettes walking up, and you go down the barrel of the gun, and it has a title. It's really, really nice menus. But Casino Royale is the only one that was updated to match the rest of them. Other films were not. And of course, obviously, No Time to Die is not in this set. But I think no, there was somewhere I thought I'd seen where there was a way you can, maybe I'm thinking of something else that could include, like, has slot to include further films. Maybe it was a different set, because there's been a couple of these James Bond collector sets, and while this is nice, I'm glad they have them all the films are in here. I kind of wish they went the route, if I can get this in here, of the DVDs where they each had their own cases. I do like that, and I like the artwork. I really wish they'd have the old cases, even if they're slim. At that last, the Ultimate Edition DVD set, they were slim cases, but they were still individual cases. And it'd be nice to have had those and had that original artwork back, because that is such great iconic poster art. I would love to have that, but I don't. So there it is. Now, there's a lot of, I think these have been, a few of these, if not all of them, have been put up on 4K. However, I don't envision myself getting those. One, they're scattered about. I'd like to have some kind of uniformity when it comes to these Bonders. So, talking 25 films, you'd like to have them be somewhat consistent. So I don't know if that's something I'll do. Maybe if they bring out some big 4K, box set, fancy thing, then yeah, I'll probably break down and do that. Because I'm always upgrading. I'll never say never. So, we'll see what the future holds. Okay, this has went on for a long time. I do appreciate your patience and sticking around with me for this. I've enjoyed, getting these out again and, reminiscing. And it's, talking about James Bond, because like I said, I'm a huge, huge James Bond fan. I love James Bond. And it's great to, bring out his collection and talk about him again, especially as I haven't looked at these VHS tapes in quite a long time. So it's been a lot of fun. It's nice reminiscing. So that is it for now. If you enjoyed this, click thumbs up, share, subscribe, leave me a comment below. Let me know your favorite James Bond film. Let me know if you've got these VHS sets, or the DVD sets, or whatever the case may be. If you have one of the older VHS ones, I love to see those, because those were some interesting VHS box art, as memory serves. Or just say hi. I'll always say hi. So until next time, this is Chuck saying I will see you on the other side.